How are you? Do you hear me well? Do you hear me? Yeah, great. Okay, then let's start. Yeah. Yes. Good morning, even though it's closer to evening here. Okay, so today we are starting a series of lectures about healing, and we will look at healing from different sides, various sides. I want to start with this quote by Dr. Korotkov from his books about reconnective healing that I'm now reading. I'll give you time to read it. So it has several parts. One, that with expanded access to light comes expanded consciousness. Then we say that darkness doesn't exist. Then we say that instead it's a matter of how we see it. Yes, yes. And when we free ourselves from how we should see something, then we actually can participate more in life as it is. And we go beyond and access a fuller spectrum of healing simply by interacting with it. So I open the healing lectures with it because when we look at the healing in different way, simply by opening to these other ways to see it, yes, perception is everything. Yes, right. Yes, I agree. This is my view as well. And what we could see is that when we looked at it in a usual way of how we used to perceive the healing, it can be that it differently to us than what it maybe is, right? Maybe is, yeah. And sometimes the connections that we think that are obvious, like what is the reason for what and why something happens and why we heal others. The subject of today's lecture is healing others. In the next lecture, we will look at healing ourselves. And I will explain then why I ordered it, why the order is this way. It's like in this picture, these are two separate pictures, right? Two separate images, but it's our consciousness, it's our mind or something in us that connects these dots, and it looks to us as if there is something there we connected by ourselves, by our perception. And then the question is, when we perceive it this way, the question is what we actually perceive. Can it be that the healing that we thought of is working some other way, and only we think that it works the way we used to look at it? So let's speak about two models of life. I already spoke about it a bit or more in the previous lectures. And please tell me if the sound becomes lower, because sometimes it restarts itself, resets itself. So if the sound becomes lower, please tell me. Okay. Two models of life. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Two models of life. One is the usual one that we grow up with, usually, that I'd call it the physical one. Like, this is our point of view, the one where the miracles are miracles, like they are not order of how things are. Why I'm smiling, because I remembered my conversation with my daughter, that when she was little, I could tell her, send love to some part of the body. And she did it, and she always healed herself. But when she grew up a little, and now she looks at it more like an adult, she starts saying, "Mother, you are crazy." And really, that's a good crazy, but still, it like it of the two of us, it looks like I am the child and she is the adult in the usual normal point of view. But nevertheless, what we usually grow up with is with the point of view that, let's go to Lord, and I will, yeah, okay. This is a person, and this is the world. Or it can be closer, it doesn't matter. The person is something very small, and it doesn't really affect the world around, and it only looks at what happens and can react to it to some degree, and the person can and it's not that I think that there is a reason that I'm calling the person it in this way, in this case, because in this cell it looks like the person doesn't really have an influence on this world. Like, person is separate and small and doesn't influence so much. And the desires, the matter of desires, it's only something that this person's matter. to the world, the desires of this person are not very important. Or maybe it can be important in the way that they can use this person, but we won't touch that subject. But the matter is that in this model, the person's desires are just this person's desires, and what this person wants is only important to them, and no one, how do I say it? There is no stream under these desires. And so what people are taught usually in the schools and with their parents, that they should hold their desires to themselves and learn to get well enough with others, be in good relationship with others, so that they could get from this world what they want to get from it. So this is one model. And in this model, by the way, how do we see healing? Is just that there is one person and there is another person, and it's just the shape recognition looks like it didn't mean it, but it actually goes well, that like two people, they are different, and we don't know what is in the soul of the other, and they are separate. And when we heal others, then we somehow influence other people, like other objects outside of us. And that implies some feelings that we have in the process, which is what we will speak about next, after we see the second model of life. This implies certain feelings, and this also gives certain feelings. Like when we heal an object that is outside of us, then we feel influence and other feelings that are corresponding to it. In the second model, as I drew it earlier, I prefer to look at it as a stream, that we are a stream, and this is the physical screen, that this is where our energy flows, and on this screen, this is the screen of physical events. Everything is energy, and then all there is statement. Yeah, yes. Thank you, Karen. It's great to have participants that think like I do. This is very supportive. Okay, so, and this is a screen on which our thoughts physicalize. They are not exactly projected to this screen, they are physicalized in this screen. And this is where our energy flows. This is where our energy goes. Okay? And life goes this way. And when there is desire, then it actually is all this stream is this desire, and this means that it's this desire means that the stream of energy that implements it for us. And then our, as I said in the lecture 3, this is our level of alignment is what affects how it projects then on the physical screen. And then what are others then in this model? Others are also events. They are expressed to us as events on this physical screen. And then what we live, what we experience with other people is just an expression of this energy flow, an expression of our alignment. When we are aligned, then our experience with other people is a good feeling. When we are, I prefer to say, instead of not aligned, I prefer to say pre-aligned. When we are pre-aligned, when there are those, as I said, pockets of happiness, this area like when life goes forward and when we were aligned here. To those who to whom this model is new, please watch lecture 3. Now I just reminded. And so in this next stage of our life, our alignment that was full now becomes only partial, and then there are these areas where we are not aligned yet. And when the energy goes through these areas and is projected to the physical screen of events, then we experience some events that are feeling not good. But when we align, then we again experience something good there. The question is, how do we see healing in this model? What is the healing in this model? And I want to bring here quote of Bashar, who said, "You are one and you are one." Some of their meditations and some of their seminars. Yes, exactly. The pockets of happiness are the healing points. Yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. This is a very healing viewpoint, I'd say. Thank you, Emil. This viewing of events and of what happens is showing to us the healing in other light as well. And since we are free people, we have free will, then in our life we can choose between this model and this model. And then our healing will depend on it as well. We can see it, as Dmitry says the previous time also. Dmitry said in lecture 4, I think. He spoke about corridors and parallel realities. And I want to include now 2 videos that I gave as links earlier so that we could feel those so that we could feel the atmosphere of it. Okay.
This reality that humans claim and cling to is such an arbitrary thing. You are billions of people with billions of different perspectives of life experience, literally creating billions of different worlds, and yet pretending that it's all one big world that you're all sharing equally. And it's not even close to that, you see. You are on these vibrational islands with law of attraction spinning on your individual vortices, giving you exactly what you are a vibrational match to.
Okay, and then one more.
The idea now is that many of you may be saying, well, we're seeing now in this so-called new age of awareness even more and more negative things coming up, more and more violence on the planet, more and more dichotomy and polarity on the planet. Yes, because you're at the end of the age of the cycle of limitation. You don't have much time left in which to experience those things. You have to hurry up and get them all out on the table. Get them out of your system. Bring everything up to the surface so it's all transparent, so you can clearly see exactly what everyone believes, positive and negative, and make a determination for yourself what you want to choose. Nothing hidden any longer. Nothing hidden at all. The people that hate you and say so. And try to kill you. And say they enjoy doing it. And now you have an opportunity to simply recognize they have made a choice based on their beliefs, based on their definitions, and you can allow yourself to give value to the fact that their soul is learning from that experience, or will at some point learn from that experience. And you can simply recognize now it as a vibration that may not be your preference, and that can aid and assist you in making determinations as to how to relate to your world in a different way and change yourselves in such a manner that will really, truly allow you to experience a different world. And here's the secret. It's not because the way you change will change others around you. It's because there are, and here it comes, pay attention, already existing an infinite number of parallel Earths, each of a different vibration, representative of a different reality. And the vibration you change to will determine which Earth you experience that already contains the people that are already germane to that vibration. The people around you may seem to change, but that's an illusion of continuity, or they may not seem to change. The point is that eventually you will no longer interact with them, no longer experience them. You will wonder where they went. They may take themselves out in a variety of ways. They may do so by appearing to die. They may do so by simply disappearing from your life, and you never really know what happened to them. But the point is that eventually you will recognize that what you've done by changing yourself is you've simply shifted your consciousness to a parallel reality where those vibrations no longer can exist. You haven't changed them. And if you're still interacting with versions of them, that's what you're interacting with. You're interacting not with a changed person. You're interacting with a version of that person that already existed in that reality, that's germane to that reality. All these parallel realities already exist. Changing your world is not actually changing your world. It's leaving one world for another. Shifting your frequency to a different program that's already running on your giant TV of the universe. That's what it is, and that's why it is said, if you want to change anything in your world, all you have to actually do is change yourself. You will take yourself to a world where that change can be reflected to you because that change already exists naturally in that world. And thus then the idea of giving positive meaning to your experience will allow you to extract a positive effect and a positive experience for yourself. Remember, we said the only thing that's real is experience. That's it. Everything else in that sense is simply a symbol, a reflection of experience. The only thing that's real is experience. Physical reality is not real empirically unto itself. There is no out there. There is no out there. That's the illusion. It's all here. It's all now.
I so love these teachers. The second was Bashar, and the first was Abraham Hicks. So when we come to seeing the corridors, you remember Dmitry was drawing on the whiteboard these corridors. Like a second, like this. And much more, yes. And we stand here and try to define, to understand where we go. We may go by default to one corridor, but we can also change that and go to a different corridor. And when we heal others around us, then in this parallel realities model, it's actually we don't change the people, we don't change the health, we don't change in them anything. We just go to a different corridor that in that corridor that person is well. And this is amazing. And this gives some very interesting viewpoints. It gives some very interesting methods of healing as well. When I once heard of some initiative about sending love to some, I don't remember. I think it was something bad happened, something global, and I heard someone calling others to send love there, to that area, to those people. And actually, it was what I was teaching my daughter all her childhood, to send love to herself, to the parts of her body, and so on. And this is where I want to use this slide. Again, I skipped it earlier. This one, I love it. Because maybe I won't say that it were wrong choices about sending love the way I sent it, the way we were sending it. Maybe I can look at it as the stages of my development, of my going further in understanding life models and the freedom actually that I have in using these models and acting in my life and in the life of others. Because what it was is there was an incident when my daughter was and I was reading a book by Klaus Joel about the messenger, I think. about sending love, and I only, yes, maybe wrong choices bring us close to writers. Yes, it's like it reminds us of Thomas Edison, right? With when he said, "I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found wrong ways to do it 10,000 times, and that brought me closer to the doing it right." Yes. I think I meant more this in the sense that sometimes we think that to get to the right place we have to go the right way, doing the right things, but maybe what we can see later as the wrong doing before, uh, maybe it wasn't wrongdoing at all. Maybe this weren't the wrong choices at all. Maybe. Or we could choose what could be a viewpoint that would serve us if those were choices or those were right choices. So the case was when I just started to read Klaus Joel's book, um, Sending Love. And he spoke about sending love in so many senses. He spoke about people sending love to others, to their work, to things, to their projects. Spoke about, for example, his work of tiling. He said that in tiling, one has to do very precise measurements so that the tiles go in the correct way where they should be. But he said that when he was sending lots of love to this work, he started always by sending lots and lots of love, then to that work and to that place and to everything in it. Then what happened? He could start. Abraham Hicks would say with inspired action. He started where he wanted to start, in some corner, and then he just continued the way he wanted to continue, and it always worked well. It always in a perfect way, so that even with any measurements, he could do it better. So, but then I only started to read that book, and I didn't know how to send the love. But when I heard him, when that accident happened to my daughter, that she got how do I say it? Not beaten. She got a blow. She fell in a bad way, and I started to see it swelling on her forehead, and it was, and she started shouting, and she was only 3, or less than that. I don't remember exactly. And I only started to read that book, and I took her to my hands and to my arms, and I ran to the fridge to take some ice from there so that I could put it to the place where she got the blow. But then I understood on my way that if I put ice to that place, she will shout even more because it will hurt even more. And then I said to myself, okay, I started to read this book. I don't know how to send love, but I will try. And so I took her into my arms, and we sat on some sofa on the way to that kitchen. I didn't go there yet. I postponed it. And I was just sitting with her there, and I just took in myself, in my heart, the love that I had for her. And I started to send this love from my heart her to her whole body, to the place that got hurt. And suddenly, little by little, she stopped crying, and she was just like lying there in my arms, and then she wept a bit, and she was silent, and I just continued to send love to her, to all places in her. And suddenly she sat straight, and then she just walked away as if nothing happened. And I looked at her forehead that I didn't see while she was in my arms, because she was with her face on my chest. And I suddenly saw there is no sign of what happened, even though before I saw it swelling and blue and red and all that. And I saw that nothing, it was smooth, and it was as if nothing happened. So since that situation, I understood love is a huge power. And then I started to, yeah, thank you. Yes, it was a beautiful experience, right? And then I started to share it with my daughter. And every time that she fell or something happened, like she was a child after all, I just always said to her, send love there, send love there. And I said, did you send love? And she said yes. And I said, let's send love together. Did you send love? She said yes. Does it hurt less now? She always said yes. And I could feel it, that she really feels something inside, that she speaks the truth. It's now when she's 12 that she's saying, Mother, you are crazy to think that these things work. But I think she will come to again to this working, because it is working. So all her the years that she was a little child, we always used this technique, and it always helped us, always. But then time when I heard about that accident, when with that initiative, when something bad globally happened, and someone called others, let's send love there, I suddenly started to think what were the underlying feelings, the implied emotions there. Because when we are here and we send love to some place out there, let's forget for now that Bashar said that there is no out there, but for some points of view there is. And when we send love there, then what is the implied thought? That there is no love, or there is not enough love there. Something bad is happening there. And like we should somehow make up for the lack of love there. We should put their love that doesn't exist there. Okay. And then I thought that it doesn't feel good to me. Like if I would choose of two corridors, in one this the other place had no love in it and was feeling bad, and in the other corridor there was love there, and what was happening there was good, then I felt that it felt better to me to perceive that everything is right with them and that there is love there. And so I felt that when I take love from the situation instead of sending love there, then it feels better to me. And like Abraham Hicks say that when we feel better, it always means that we align. It always means that we are on our right way, on the way that serves us, on the way of harmony, on the way that um, will bring to us not only good feeling now, but also good feeling events on that physical screen. Okay, and I don't tell you how to look at sending love, if to send love or to take love. I just offer this as a viewpoint that if you choose, you look at and you can think if you want to maybe ponder it, think about it in your practice as well. That when a person comes to you, what they are not well right now, then what if the question that would ask ourselves would be not how I can heal them, but what do I feel when I perceive them not well? And what do I feel when I perceive them well? And then it's actually when we look in this model of stream, when we take them as being well right now, we actually align there. And then it changes the events on our physical screen as well. And we heal them by changing our viewpoint, which is amazing, I think. And I want to remind you, I don't know if you've heard that, about Ho'oponopono. There was a book, I think, by Joe Vitale that spoke of Dr. Len. I think it was Dr. Len that had this. I don't think it was an experiment, it was just his way of life. But I just remember that there was someone who, with these simple words and with this approach, he healed the whole yard of psychiatrists, psychiatric patients, as being exactly where they want to be to receive the experience they desire. Yes, yes, Karen. That I think that's what I am speaking about. And I want to pay attention to our feelings. What are our feelings? And this is maybe of the subject of our lecture, the revelations. Maybe it's not there as much as purpose and motives and principles of healing as maybe all it is actually, but it's even more important that this is the revelations that we find out more about ourselves when we research that, when we understand what we are in every such case. And what are our feelings? What do we feel when we heal others that are not well? We feel maybe our influence, and then what it gives us. It can work with the viewpoint of that we need to earn good things in our life, and for that we should serve others. It's like we cannot get good things in life without serving, without earning it in some way, without being deserving for it. And then when we serve others, when we help others in such a way that they feel like we change people outside of us, we change their state outside of us, and we feel better with it, that we now, when we helped them, we are now deserving our good things in life. Interesting, isn't it? And when we look at these models, and when we can look at it this way, that we say, what will feel better to me to feel in this way? And when we think about others, that we just choose to which corridor to go, and we just choose thoughts that feel better in this case than the thought that we just support them in their streams of desires to be well. There can be less feeling of earning good things. It can be more the feeling of collaboration, of contribution there, so that when we heal others by the way of just choosing what feels better to us, there is something deserving in that by itself. Like we feel that we are more precious to ourselves in this case. Can you feel it? It's great. Thank you. When we can allow ourselves to just choose, we see a person who we perceive as not being well. Can we just ask ourselves, what if this is just my viewpoint on them? What if they are not as sick as I think they are? What if it's my vibration state expressed in how I perceive them? What if I could perceive them well, and they would become well, because this is a reflection of my inner state. And I want to give here this phrase. Thank you. This is a phrase a process actually that we could use when we want to heal others or actually heal any situation. It is a very, I'd say it feels like a miracle, this point of view, this approach that we say, what if by simply changing my attitude, the situation can change? And I don't need to influence others in any way or form. I don't need to change them. I don't need to fix them. I don't need to fix their state. And it isn't important what it is now with them or how I perceive it. I just can't find a thought that feels better to me because I want to feel better. That's a great thought. I love it. I love it. And in the next slide, I think this is the state of happiness. I brought it here in this presentation as a state of happiness, a state of ease, state of something where we don't need to fix anything around us. Yeah, and we can just be happy, just being happy, right? I yes, and this is interesting, right? This is amazing that in healing others, like to fix something in the state of others, we can just be happy, just become happy. This is interesting, right? In this approach. Yeah, natural state. And here we can come to a thought that because these are several different stages. In one stage, we say that we should fix others' health, for example, or we should fix something in the circumstances of others because it is our serving or it is how we earn the good things or anything, because it should be done. There are many people that don't even ask these questions. They don't see it. And I think I was like this as well many times in my life. Until I became more aware, and it is interesting. I think it was Eckhart Tolle who said other people. He said something. Or relationships or other people come into our life not to bring us happiness, but to bring us awareness. Because each time that we have something happening in our relationship, it says to us something about us. And when all I can see is just that I should help others because I should help others because others should feel good and should be well. It is one point of view. It is one level of awareness. And a different stage, a different level of awareness is to say that how do I say it? I want to see what my emotions are, what my motives are in healing others. And then I understand suddenly when I, it's like in that first slide when we spoke about, with that quote from Dr. Korotkov's book. By the way, I think that book exists in your IUMAP membership. I can check it, but I think it's there in those downloads. When we free ourselves from the shoulds and shouldn'ts, and then we allow ourselves to become present, more in the moment, to interact more fully and consciously with life. And it it continues in this way, that when we don't see it as a must have, must do, must happening, that we have to change others' state in order, not in order even, they should be well and we have to help them to be well. When we free ourselves, when, like Bashar said in that video before, that maybe they learned something in it, maybe they have some experience that is somehow beneficial to them, to their life. It's like with those wrong choices, right? Maybe their illness is bringing them to wellness somehow. Maybe it's a shortcut. Because I know that it was for me that way when I had a very bad thing happening to me, and I just had to do my inner work there, and then it moved me forward many light years, I'd say. That it gave me much understanding. But what I want to say, when we free ourselves from the having to help others to be well, and we just allow ourselves to choose what emotions we want to have in that situation, then we can just discover that we feel better when we think of others as feeling good as well. Meaning, when in our world someone else is a good health, then usually it can be different, of course, but usually I'd say that we see that we are happy when others are happy too. And then we can choose these thoughts. And then when we just come to this feeling of this happiness, this feeling of love, then we can just allow ourselves to feel good, and the healing is happening on the way. I want to return a bit to that Ho'oponopono, because what was in that, I think it was the experiment. It was just what was happening. That case when the doctor he was just reading those cases about those patients, and in his room, and he was just saying to every one of these people, but just read their descriptions of their disease, cases, not speaking directly to those people. He was just working with his projections of them, I'd say, with the texts, with the files, and he said, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," about every one of these people. And they became well. It was like he changed this inside him. They became well outside of him. They just became well. Isn't it amazing? Okay, now I'll come to read your comments because there were several comments now that I haven't read. Just a second. Happiness is the state we should align to. I would also say happiness is the state we want to align to. We can allow ourselves to align to. Yeah, natural state. Oh, there is such an amazing video by Abram as well. I try to find it and post it next to our lecture about how happiness is the natural state. I know I quote it somewhere in my books, but it is worth it to see it there as well in that clip. But I had hard work to find out what really brought me happiness. We are so fooled sometimes about ourselves. Yes, hard work to find out what really brought me happiness. That's exactly, yes, that's what I was speaking about, that these are the stages we are going through, actually. When we say, in the first stage, we say that we heal others because they should be well. That's it. And we say when we help, okay, we can admit to ourselves that we feel better when we help them to get well. But why? And then when we come to this understanding that, first of all, we don't need to earn good things in our life. We are deserving just by existence. And that maybe there is not something bad in... There is also a video by Bashar that is saying, ultimately, everyone is just right. I will try to find it and post it as well. That also helps our work in the healing, that we don't, that's the thing, I think. We don't need to take to ourselves the responsibility for them being well. We don't need to take that responsibility because we can't actually, don't know what will serve them. Again, that case of we don't know what will serve them better. But when we know that we can feel beauty, then this is suddenly like this speaks to us, and we know that feeling the beauty, we are in some good feeling state. When we are here, we can feel that so well, right? And this is important, that how it helps us, because this comes to techniques now and methods and all that, that when we get the basis, I wouldn't say right. I would say when we choose the basis that we prefer, then the methods and the techniques are growing there. They are growing there, and they are developing like by themselves. And what is a paradox, maybe, if it is like I'd say like when someone tells us we should give up on our goal in order to get what we want. We should give up on it. Let it go. And I sometimes say that we shouldn't really give up in the feeling that we really give up, that like we let it go in the sense of we agree that we don't maybe deserve it, like we agree that we won't have it. No, I think it's more serving me to think about it in the way of, you know, that monkey with the vessel where their hand, the monkey's hand was caught by some vessel that when they were holding, when the monkey was holding some stone inside the vessel, then they couldn't get their hand out, and they should let it go in order to get away from the trap. Okay, and what I'm saying, that actually when they let go of that stone and they get out their hand out of that vessel, then they can actually get that stone out of there as well. So this is not an ultimate letting go, even though, as we said in the previous lectures, that when we come to this feeling that no matter what it is, I will be happy because I am the source of my happiness, then it eases up on those cases. And then that's the paradox that I was speaking about, that actually the healing becomes easy. The healing becomes more effective and efficient when we let go of this, again, shoulds and shouldn'ts, right? When we let go of what we should have, what we should do, and the evil, the negative, and all that, when we go of that, then suddenly the healing others becomes more easier, and it likes in that case with Ho'oponopono, that we just think thoughts to ourselves. And I think you can feel it when you read that. I'm sorry, please forgive, thank you, I love you. I think you can feel also how the inner state improves with these statements. Like we start low and then we go higher and higher and higher. And in the lectures, as I plan them, in the second lecture we will speak about healing ourselves, and in the third lecture we will speak about some techniques we can bring ourselves into alignment with. And I will share with you there my series of statements that helps me to go higher in many cases. But for now, when we just look at this series of statements, we can feel in it that this goes up, this goes up in our feeling about other people's state. Okay, and then no wonder that it healed those people. Okay, I will come back to your next comments. Right, I'm happy, so I want to share that with others, not change them. Yes, right. We also take it as you said earlier, Karen, that when you take it as something that you can rely on their stream of wellness, their stream of desire, that they won't be well. You can rely on it, you can work together with that stream. Then it is also then eases up on this whole process. And then yes, we are happy. We want to share that. Yes, we want to share happiness with want to share life with others, right? This is the state. We just want to share life with others. It's just, we just want to share love. We want to share good feelings. But even then, when we say, it sometimes is a trap of those who do the vibrational work. We sometimes do it in order to, like, we don't do it in order to feel good by ourselves. We do it in order to get some inspired actions that we can do. Like, we still feel like we have to do something. It's not enough that we just feel better ourselves. We feel like we also should do something physical, maybe, or we should still influence situation in some way. But what I want you to feel in this case, to see, to pay attention to, is that feeling of when we feel don't need to change the situation, we don't need to change anything in them, and we don't need to act anyhow to influence them. And when we compare it to the situation when we say, okay, I will feel better, and then I can share it with them, I can influence them, I can share my happiness with them, I can still influence them in a way. Then in this feeling, in this thought, with the feeling that we should still do something for them to change their state, or to, don't know, to do something, there is an underlying feeling that still something is not well with them. And this is still an inner feeling. This is still our not being aligned. Because when we are aligned, we are in our state where we feel like everything is well. We are with our, like is in this model, when we are aligned completely, then we feel it, we live it, we experience it, that it is all as we want it to be. It is all as we feel it, like the best possible outcome in this case. And it's good that we came here. This one reminded me about some Reiki experience that I wanted to share with you. And I will then reply to your comments as well. But let's take a break for like 10 minutes, let's say. I will have some tea so that I will be able to continue speaking with you. So I say, yeah, eating is a good thing. And then we will come back here. Yeah. See you again in 10 minutes. Hi, everyone. We are back. Are you here? Oh. Please tell me when you come back. Ah, okay. Yeah, great. I found that video and I want to take a look to see it now with you. Let's see it.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
I know that I have chosen to suffer this weekend.
Oh, all right. And why did you choose that?
I have been experiencing a challenge to my faith,
Yes.
and this weekend has brought me from despair and anger to hope.
All right.
And I was listening to what you've been saying,
Yes.
and I'm getting closer back to faith. But I was
Are you going beyond faith to knowing as well?
No. And I was wondering if
right.
there was anything more that you would like to tell me to bring me to a stronger faith and towards
I am
knowing.
not attempting to bring you to a stronger faith. I'm attempting to bring you beyond faith to knowing. Did you do the I am exercise?
I did.
Do you understand that when you say I am, that that's an absolute fact?
I do.
Then you know. It's that simple. Did you not believe us when we said it was that simple? Is that part of the challenge?
The challenge for me is when you say circumstances don't matter.
Yes. Do you
That's
want me
my
to explain
challenge.
that?
I want to know how I can believe that and demonstrate it.
Oh, thank you. We often have said, though we understand how this first sounds in your language, we don't mean it negatively, that the greatest gift creation has given is that life is meaningless. There is no built-in meaning to situations or circumstances. They're just neutral props. I'll put it another way. You are aware, to some degree as we demonstrated earlier, that any given situation can actually produce even opposite results, yes?
Yes.
Or opposite perceptions, yes?
Yes.
All right. You can look at any situation and you could see a positive outcome or you could see a negative outcome of the same situation, yes?
Yes.
Well, that shows you that no situation's meaning is absolutely built in. It's determined by how you see it. So if you decide that a situation will have a positive effect on you, that's the effect it will have. If you decide it will have a negative effect on you, that's the effect it will have. The situation doesn't come with a built-in parameter that says it's going to affect you positively or negatively. That's in your hands to determine. So nothing has built-in meaning, and therefore that's why we say the circumstances don't actually matter. It's the state of being that matters, because it's the state of being that allows you to determine what meaning you will assign to those circumstances that are fundamentally neutral. Does that make sense?
But if someone's in harm's way,
Yes.
how can you look at that in a positive way?
All right, thank you. There is a difference between observing that something is mechanically negative or mechanically positive. Positive being segregative. In that sense, the negative being segregative, the positive being integrative. You understand?
No.
You don't?
No.
All right. When we talk about positive and negative, we're not talking about subjective good and bad. We're talking about an actual mechanical description of energy. That which is negative in that sense is that which segregates, separates, shall we say isolates, disconnects, forms experiences of disconnection. That which is positive forms experiences of integration, unification, bonding, oneness. Do you follow that?
Yes.
The idea being that if you operate on a fear-based definitional system, more often than not, you will experience more emotions of disconnection and greater fear. Thus, you are seeing that the mechanism is simply generating an expanded version of itself by perpetuating more doubt, more disconnection, more fear. Does that make sense? More misalignment within your belief systems from your core. The fear itself is the expression of negatively aligned belief systems. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, the idea being, when you see somebody operating in a negative way, or when you see a situation that you are saying someone is being harmed in, you can recognize the mechanisms that might be involved may be negatively based. Nevertheless, you can also recognize, as you can in many situations in life, that being that person, while not necessarily excusing the negative behavior, might also allow others to learn something positive from it, or might give someone else a positive effect. I'll put a very simple example before you. We understand that it is negative when someone abuses another person. That's a negative act, perpetuated by negative beliefs. It is segregative, it is isolating, it is disruptive, it is disconnective. Nevertheless, if you came upon the situation where you're seeing someone being abused, and you come to their assistance and help them, then you are putting positive energy into it. And if you say, in seeing this, I am now inspired passionately to do what it takes to make sure this doesn't happen again on our planet, anywhere, then you are going to generate a positive effect out of what essentially started as a negative experience. Do you follow that?
Yes.
So it's how you use it. And that's why we simply say circumstances don't matter, not to discount them, but to let you know it's what meaning you decide to give them that determines what effect you can extract from them and apply to your reality. Remember, everyone that is having an experience is fundamentally an eternal, infinite spirit. You follow me? Ultimately, everyone is just fine. Everyone, I'll put it colloquially, everyone goes to heaven, no matter what they've done, because that's the only place there is. The idea is that you are created in unconditional love, and that's the only place there is to go back to. Unconditional love. Now, individual beings may learn that they didn't necessarily want to operate in a certain way because it may have created an experience for them that is more negatively oriented than positively oriented. And they may learn to do something about that from that experience. That's up to them. But the point is that when we say circumstances don't matter, we're simply attempting to let you know that they are fundamentally neutral and that you can decide how they will actually affect your reality, what you will do with that experience. Just because the experience may start negatively doesn't mean that the only experience you can get from it is a negative one. You can actually use it to learn a lesson and actually create a very positive reality from that negative experience. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Also, when we say circumstances don't matter, but only states of being do, we are making a play on words of the term matter. Circumstances aren't what materialize your reality. It's your state of being that materializes reality, experience for you. The circumstances are simply neutral props that allow you to decide whether you are, by reflection, in alignment or not. Does that help?
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Perfect video for that place, for that state. So what I wanted to, yeah, thank you. Yeah, indeed. What I wanted to share with you is some experience, some revelation I had when I was on a Reiki session. it was kind of a lecture, a seminar on Reiki. Yeah. And when the trainer, the lecturer, said to put our hands on the chest and send call Reiki there to us, then I remembered. Suddenly, I put my hands on my chest and I started to do what he said. And suddenly, I remembered that statement by Bashar that I was hearing in my mind. This was from one of Bashar's seminar that he was expanding on this message. And I don't remember if it was a meditation when he said to feel it, but it was like he said it several times, and it was meaning that one and one and one, you are one and you are one, you are one and you are one, and I felt how it affected me when I'm hearing you are one, then I'm feeling like I am the small person here, right? in the big world outside of me. It's when I'm saying I'm one, it's more of the one, the small one. But even in this situation, also there exists the physical part of me, that the one that is getting aligned. Okay, there is a part of me also to which I am getting aligned. My source, my inning, my higher self. It can be named many names. But there is also some part of me that I associate myself with enough to feel it like this is who I am. And this part that feels awkward, not confident sometimes, that can be not aligned and feel the consequences of it. And this is this one, the small one, okay? Then I'm saying, and when I'm hearing him to say, and you are one, then I'm feeling then that I am this world, that all this stream that I am, it goes forward and it actually is reflected, is expressed on this physical screen, and I feel it, that I am everything in my world. I am everything in my world. It's like in that video by Bashar that we saw in the beginning when he said there is nothing out there. There is nothing out there. Only the experience is real. And I am this whole world. And so I was hearing from one side, I was hearing that Reiki trainer that said to put our hands to our chest and call Reiki energy to come to us, through us. And I was also remembering this meditation by Bashar, whatever it was, and this experience, you're one and you're one. It's like when I'm hearing this, it's like you're one, it's like I'm contracting, and you're one, I'm expanding. And it is a nice experience to switch between them several times. It really, I think for me, it really lets me feel the human existence. Like when we are, what I am actually, that I am both this and this and this and this, and then I can feel how I exist. And so I was hearing it all, and I had then some situation with someone when something not exactly what I liked, what was happening outside of that Reiki session. And then I suddenly felt, if I am one, if all of that is me, then where is my body? And when I asked myself that, I actually felt a place in my body where that person is, and that situation is. And then I healed myself, my own body, with Reiki. That place in my body, I gave it the Reiki energy, and it helped. It helped to resolve that situation. And then I understood that because I have only the first, I don't know, the first level of Reiki. And um, as I heard that on the first level they mostly teach you to work with yourself, and on the second level they like more teach you to work with others. And I suddenly understand that in my level I can work with others as well when I just take where they are in me. And then I'm healing my body, myself, with Reiki when I feel that I am one. And then I went to improve many situations, and it helped me in many situations after that. Yes, yes, try that. It gives also, again, about those revelations, that this also, even no matter what the results are, so-called, of that experiment, it reveals something to us on ourselves when we feel that. It is like a piece of fabric, and we are we choose to send that. Wow, that's very interesting viewpoint. Yes, 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 yes. That's very interesting. I feel that it gives the third dimension to what I said. It gives a side that is a new dimension to what was said. Yes, sure. Yes, so this is one of the techniques that I can offer you to try. And I now read more of your comments that were before the break. Was it? I'm happy, so I want to share it with others. Yes, that we addressed. I will, yes, they shouldn't spoil it all. It's a long process to not listen to them, at least for me, was and still is. Yes. If I find video about that, I will post it as well. It was a very nice clip about this should and shouldn't. How do we know when healing others that the emotions we prefer about them are the better for them? The ones they need and want, we feel it by feeling better about the choice. That's it, my Wild. I think that we don't need to take upon ourselves this responsibility to choose what's better for them, because we never can know what's better for them. It's like what Bashar said now. It's ultimately, first of all, ultimately, everyone is just fine. Everyone goes to heaven, and everyone is just fine. But ultimately, there can be it's their choice. And I lived it, I experienced it in many situations. I saw it so many times when even the best, and it even happens in my life that good circumstances happen and I can't um, feel good with them. When someone looks at my life from aside and then they say, wow, that's amazing what you have, and but I am not really aligned in that situation, and then I have some negative emotions about it. And I saw it many times that even the same situation would be happening, people react differently to it. And oh my God, you can never know how people can interpret in their own way what is happening, on what we say and or what we do. And this is a huge responsibility that we take upon ourselves by trying to define what's better for them, and then doing what could bring them to that point. When actually, when we come back to that model of corridors, right, and we just take it by definition, we take it, it is our decision that where we go, we come to the corridor when it is good for them. Why? Because we feel better with choice. That's all. That's all. And then it is the paradox again that it is actually makes the healing easier and heals the whole situation, because it doesn't, well, it can give you some good feelings that you have free will and you are trying to understand what's better for them. But you can also see it in this way that you are like you are taking from the free will, that with like you do not respect them enough to imply, to rely on the fact that they, as well as you do, they can also define their reality by themselves and choose the perception and choose the meaning, and then get from this situation something good. I can say by myself that I have a friend, I now can call him a friend, even though for many years it was really hard for me to see this way. This friend is, I can say, obnoxious, but I can also say that what always amazed him is that he always behaved the way he wanted to behave, the way he felt good with behaving. And it wasn't his choices, wasn't always feeling good me. But what I would always know that he was in integrity with himself when he was coming to these decisions and when he was doing what he was doing. And what was happening is that because of him doing what he was doing, when it wasn't nice or feeling good for me, I needed to do my inner work. And in my inner work, being in integrity with myself, I came to such heights in vibrational work, in understanding myself, in understanding those life models and healing and everything. Like it really developed me, it helped me, it moved me forward. And you can, if you are interested to know about how it worked, how it went, you can find on my website, which I will share with you in several minutes, the love story book. And yes, now we are friends, and I really appreciate what I got on this path from my inner work that I needed to do on this way. And it really was amazing. And I am appreciative that he was behaving in this way, in this integrity way for him, so that it allowed me to do the work that I was in integrity with, understand many things. So it was about taking the responsibility for others. There are two sides in it, maybe two things that I could speak about in that. The first is when you are taking responsibility for others, for what they do. It it may be not right for them, because here we are. If that person was behaving differently in his care for me, if he was doing what he would thinking I was wanting to see from him, then I wouldn't do the work that I did, and it wouldn't place me in the place that I am now in, where it's really good for me with all that inner work and understanding and expert and what I'm an expert. And the second thing is how much you give your own power away when you are trying to understand what's good for them. It's really, 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 it's like in that third lecture when I spoke about what you get from others when you are speaking about your own emotions, what you want to what you want to have in the course, what experiences you want to have in the course. And when you say the feelings that you want to have, then you are much more in control or in influence on what you will feel indeed, and it is easier for you to get experience. While if you take a different point of view and you state the facts that you want that will happen, like things that other people should do for you in order to have the preferred experience, then it's like you depend on them. I think it was Brian Tracy who said that we are happy to the degree that we feel that we are in control of things. So the more we feel in control of something, the more we are happy in that subject. I don't know if it's always true, but in this case, it certainly is something to think, and you can feel. And actually, like Abraham Hicks say that when you are in your wobble, like when you are doubting, when you wait for others' reaction, or you want to know what others think or what they do, what they feel about you, about what you do, or even about themselves. When you want to rely on others, something outside of you, then you give your own power away in it, and actually you can much less heal them. When it's interesting to think about, right? Then when you start thinking what would be better for them, you actually can less heal them, because you have less power in yourself because of this doubting and depending on outside sources. Okay, what was the... So you can just what could be my advice? No, I'd say my recommendation to think, to compare how you feel better. If you feel better in trying to find out what is better for others, or you feel better in just saying that, you know what? Anyway, there are corridors in where it goes well. This same situation brings something good in their life, or in some other corridor, this situation brings something bad in their life. And what would feel better to us, of course, the experience that they experience something good. And so when we put ourselves into alignment, when we come into alignment, then on our screen of physical events, we get the events that feel better to us. And so what would feel better to us? Good situations for them as well, right? So we can just ease up on ourselves. We can feel this freedom that we can just find what feels better to us and go with it and only align with it. And just allow ourselves to live this way. So, what are other moments? My perception is that we do not actually heal others. We provide the support of joyful, loving energy which allows them to progress in the direction best suited for their development. Yes, Karen, I think that is, yes, that this is so. And I think there are two sides of it. That are working. On one hand, on one side, this is indeed what I'm like. I heard once something in Abraham Hicks seminar when they said that the healer just provides a frequency that a person can choose to match or not too much. And when they are choosing to match it and take it, then they use it and they use the healing. It's like, again, in that lovely book, I bring the story of my own healing and the words of my healer when she said that if I won't doing the if I wouldn't do that inner work that I did, no one would be able to help me. But I know that when I did my inner work indeed, but with her, then after that session with her, like 3 or 4 hours, I was under her hands, and I felt like with the electricity going through me, and after that, suddenly my pains disappeared, and it was real, and I do come to her sometimes still to feel better, and I always feel better after I come to her, but it is still in the same way that I first do my inner work, and then something happens that like provides the circumstances for me to match it, get it, to take it, right? So it is indeed, we provide the support of joyful, loving energy, the frequency, which people can, which allows them, they can choose to match it or not to match it. And on the other hand, right, this is the one side of it, like what is happening physically. And on the other hand, it is still the same. Then the circumstances on the physical screen are just those that make it possible that form the events here start to be those that feel good to us. And since those events feel good to us and since it feels better to us when they feel better, then on our side it is formed this way as well. that we just bring ourselves into alignment, and the world brings us to the corridor where they are well, because it feels good to us. It like brings events when it feels good. Okay? So, okay, we continuing. Do not base happiness on outer sources. Right. I often say that it is like with a mirror. When we are coming to a mirror, we don't ask ourselves if we will reflect there sad or smiling. We just know that the way we will behave, that is what the mirror will reflect. But with the physical circumstances, it's a bit hard to feel it. But not impossible. Set intent, let go of expectation. Yes. Yes. Set intent and let go of expectation. I want to speak about it a little more. I like always looked at it like it was kind of Bashar said zero expectations, and Abraham Hicks always said build an expectation of good things, and then they will come. And it could be seen as paradox, or something that like something that is not matching here, right? But I understood it, and again, I understood it going through some not feeling good circumstances where I just was forced to do my inner work, like where I was forced to do it because I wanted to feel good. I wanted to come to the situations when it feels good. And so I did my inner work. And then what I understood was when we choose what to do on how it feels to us, like we just take whatever we feel like doing, like what feels good to us to do, and then we just let the results be not that important. Then it works the best. When we put our attention on this present moment, we choose to feel good in this present moment in order to feel good in this present moment. And then we let the future to care for itself. We let the future care for itself, and it does in a good way. And it works the same as with the healing. When we let them be the way they are, and we only choose our thoughts that feel better, then they heal easier. Others heal easier in this way. And it's the same with the circumstances that when we just choose what would feel good to us right now and do it for the pleasure of the current moment, then our future takes for itself. And it's an amazing experience. Amazing experience. Let me see the other comments. Yes, it is. As a fabric, it is. It's like a piece of fabric. Yes. Yes. I had my son. I had the near-death experience. System shut down for 7 minutes except for brain. I became part of a whole. It was like floating in space, yet being trapped in a live same time it was aware of my was also infinite in expanse. I was within the nothing that is everything. Wow, that is a very interesting experience. Yes, Karen, and Yes, it refers you probably to that part that was your one and your one, right? Like the one may be part you want feeling that way, like it was the nothing instead of one, or maybe that it, yeah, okay. Yes, it is very interesting experience all by itself when we are switching between your one and your one. Your one? Your one. And I want to show you some tools again that you can use in healing. And I will share my desktop with you. Just a second, I will stop the video for now. Okay. Now, please tell me if the sound starts less when the volume becomes less. If you hear me worse than now, then please tell me. So again, we come to think, feel better. This is my site with because I'm a self-coaching freak, I can say. And here in my blog, you can find many resources. Here on the right side, you see all the self-enjoying pages, self-coaching. All these processes you can use to align, to come to alignment, to that you can use healing others as well. I will just show you, and this is, by the way, this is the book, The Love Story in the Light of Law of Attraction. This is about that person, my inner work, and how him being in integrity with him let me come feel my integrity as well and apply it, implement it, live this way. Okay. Okay, so some processes that can help you in healing others. This one is a good one because here you just because the challenge in healing others is many times in that their not wellness is too much in our face, and so it is like it's hard to somehow disconnect from it and start seeing them healthy. It is hard to do so when it is so much in our face, the physical circumstances that say it is not so. And so in this process, in the first stage of it, this is explained here. You can see it here. The first step, you define feelings. The second step, you define how you prefer to feel. And the third step is the detective work we spoke about in lecture 3 of this course. So I want to really speak about it more. On that, you can see it there in the replay. And here you just describe, but you can use it in 2 ways, at least. One way would be that you would here describe their state. Like you will describe here how they feel and their circumstances, etc. And then here you can write how you would prefer them to feel, or how you would prefer their state to be. And this is this will also do some work, because it will let you, when you write it in this way, it lets you connect to these parts better, and you're closer to healing them as well. In being detective, it is a bit more complicated, but you can use it with the people that you heal, with your clients as well. You can ask them, especially if here you write more their feelings, what they feel, instead of their physical states, physical circumstances. Then you can come here and work with them on it together and ask them where in their current life they still can have these feelings of what is desired and preferred for them. And it can be a nice work where they can actually come to the feeling that we stated in lecture 3, that when we build our happiness from inside and we build our future events, then it is important to come to this feeling that no matter what will happen, I still can be happy, because I am my source of happiness. And this is what your clients, the people that you heal, that here it is what they can come to when you work with them on being detective in their things, when they can find these emotions in their current life already. And then it is good, it can bring them to their alignment better. Okay? And then, or before that, you can do this work by yourselves and for yourself. When you take that situation of healing, that they come to you, and then you write here, when you perceive them not well, how do you feel? Or what is happening to you when you perceive them not being well? And then you take the situation, if they or when they heal, when the situation improves, how then you would feel, what you desire, what you would prefer it to be. It's like in those corridors, right? Here you describe the corridor you are currently in, and here you describe the corridor you want to go to. And then it is also you can do this work in several stages. In one stage you can write more about the physical circumstances, but I really, really recommend to you to come to the stage when you write more about your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts or something, because there you have more control, and then you can do better, more efficiently and effectively this being detective work. And this is really important, because this is what frees you from needing to fix something. Because you come to this letting go, you come to this feeling of easing up on the results. Exactly that process that we spoke about. Ultimately, everyone is just fine, and like stop being dependent so much on the results, on the outcome, on what others need or feel, etc. Okay. This one, by the way, here you can learn how to do it, but here is the clean form that you can use. It doesn't include all those words that were written already. So you can just use this form for yourself and for your client if you wish. What I also recommend to you is this, well, focus delight general is always a good thing to start in every situation. I won't go there right now because I think I went through it in lecture 3. But I always recommend it. This is the first approach that we always can do. And what is nice is that it works in several ways. It both helps in the current moment to improve our vibration now, and then it also trains us to align in the other circumstances, to align generally trains us to feel what is better, what feels better to us, and to take this as a criterion. Okay. The sweet having is also an interesting process in this, when with our goals. Here I will show you what it is. It's about our goals, that we say that we are afraid of things going our way, of things going the way we want. Just a second, it will load. You can, in the beginning, you do the work here in these 2 steps, and then you come to the stage 3, when we say, and it is also work that you can do with your client. Because for them, it is also their physical circumstances are too much into their face. And it is hard for them to disconnect from that state and suddenly imagine themselves aligned, imagine themselves well, healthy, etc. And it is kind of a stress for them to change their state, because the state that they're now in is familiar, and any change, even a change for the better, is always, I read about it at some point, and it really influenced me, I think, that every change is a stress for us, always. And so it can be that our client has some resistance to healing, some resistance, even though they feel bad now, but they don't know what it will be when the state changes and they are healthy. Like, it is mostly, I think, eye conscious, of course. Like, if you ask them if they won't be healthy, they probably will say, of course. But when I started doing this work, it was about money, firstly. And of course, when I don't have money, someone would ask me if I want to have money. I'd say, of course I want. But then when I started to do this work, I started to feel it, that something was melting in me. Something was melting because I made that situation more familiar for me. When it happens as I want, will I still have this thing I love now? Then it helps to really seriously answer these questions, not just write yes. And the other side of it, also a beneficial side of it, that in the end, when we do this process, we get this list of things that we love now. And it also focuses us in such a way that we get aligned. Besides of that, letters for resolving are also good to give to your clients, even if it doesn't. It can be both about the physical and not physical. It is good. It can be really good. And what I would always recommend to you is just starting this with these questions for a new week. This would you rather feel, I also recommend you to see, because when you this is how you can help your client again to disconnect from the physical circumstances they are too much into, and put their attention to their emotions more, and this helps them to be easier aligned. And questions for a new week can help you both, I think. Okay, I will add a link to these processes next to the replay. Now let's go into our screen. Any questions from you? Because this is the time that one more. This is how I want to finish this lecture with this. That's great, Mavilut. I'm very happy to share it with you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with me today and for your collaboration. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. You see, that's in my Feeling Good event physical screen. That's great. Okay, I will wait to see what you want to say, because I see that you're typing now. And then we will close today's session. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Thank you all.